Did you know putting certain foods in the fridge can turn them into poison? Most of us were taught that the fridge is a safe haven for food. You bring something home and without thinking twice, you toss it onto a cold shelf assuming you're protecting it, but the truth is, not all foods belong there. In fact, some of the everyday items you probably refrigerate out of habit are far better off on the counter or in a cool, dry cupboard. And in some cases, the cold can alter the food structure, strip it of nutrients, or even trigger chemical reactions that are less than healthy. This video is especially important if you've been trying to eat better or reduce waste, because storing food the wrong way doesn't just affect taste, it affects your body. For older adults whose digestion and nutrient absorption already work a little differently, these small mistakes can quietly chip away at health and comfort. Something as simple as the wrong temperature could be why your tomatoes taste watery, your garlic turns rubbery, or your potatoes feel oddly sweet and not in a good way. We're going to walk through 8 common foods that should never be refrigerated. No matter what the label says or how much space is in the fridge, each one comes with its own reason. Some scientific, some practical, but all worth knowing if you care about freshness, safety, and getting the most out of what you eat. Stay with us until the end, because what you'll learn might not only save you money, it could also protect your health and completely change the way you store food from now on. Let's take a closer look together. Number 1, tomatoes. Tomatoes are one of the most common foods people toss into the refrigerator without thinking twice. But if you've ever done that and wondered why they suddenly lost their flavor, the answer lies in how the cold air affects their structure. Tomatoes are meant to ripen in room temperature environments. When you put them in the fridge, the cold slows down, or even halts that ripening process, freezing the development of the sugars and acids that give tomatoes their rich, deep taste. More than just taste, though, the texture takes a hit. The flesh of the tomato becomes mealy, almost grainy instead of soft and juicy. That satisfying bite of a fresh tomato, whether it's on a sandwich, in a salad, or sliced on the side, suddenly turns into something dull and disappointing. It's not spoiled, but it's no longer alive in flavor. And that's a shame, because the tomato is one of the most flavorful and nutrient-rich vegetables you can enjoy raw. There's also something else happening under the surface. When tomatoes are stored below a certain temperature, their cellular walls start to break down. This causes not only that mushy texture, but also leads to faster decay once you bring them back out to room temperature. So even if you think you're preserving them by popping them in the fridge, what you're really doing is shortening their shelf life once they're out again. Many seniors tell me they refrigerate tomatoes simply out of habit. They've been doing it that way for decades and no one ever said otherwise, but now we know better. Tomatoes thrive in a bowl on the counter, out of direct sunlight, where they can continue to develop their natural flavor. And if you like your tomatoes cold, like in a salad, simply chill them for 30 minutes before serving. You'll still get that cool bite without sacrificing everything that makes a tomato worth eating in the first place. So the next time you unload your groceries and reach for the fridge, stop for a second when you pick up the tomatoes. Think of all the meals they're part of, all the ways they bring color and depth to your plate, and then place them gently in a bowl where they belong. You'll taste the difference, and so will everyone else at the table. Number 2, bananas. Bananas are one of the most misunderstood fruits when it comes to storage. You buy a bunch, bring them home, and maybe you've heard they go bad quickly, so you pop them into the fridge to make them last. But what actually happens is the opposite. The cold stops the ripening process in its tracks, and it doesn't start again once the banana is cold. That means, if the banana wasn't ripe when it went into the fridge, it likely never will be. It just stays hard, flavorless, and oddly dry on the inside. And then there's the peel. One of the quickest signs that you've refrigerated a banana is how the skin turns. Dark, sometimes completely black, even if the inside is still firm. It's confusing. You look at it and think it's gone bad, but when you peel it, the banana is still yellowish white and not quite sweet yet. That's the cold at work, damaging the outer. appearance while freezing the internal development of natural sugars. Now, for older adults, especially those who eat bananas for fiber, potassium, and digestion support, this storage mistake can lead to two problems. First, it makes the fruit less pleasant to eat. Second, you're getting less nutritional value out of it than you should. Bananas need warmth to develop their sweetness and texture fully. That ripening process is what transforms starch into simple sugar, making them easier to digest and better for energy. You might notice that refrigerated bananas also lose their smell. That familiar sweet banana scent disappears, and with it, so does part of what makes eating one satisfying. And if you've ever tried to use refrigerated bananas in baking, like for banana bread, you know they don't mash quite right. They turn watery, stringy, or just strangely rubbery, and the flavor falls flat. Here's a better approach: keep bananas on the counter, separated from other fruit if you can. If you want them to ripen faster, place them in a paper bag. If you need to slow things down, just a bit, because they're all ripening at once, break the bunch apart. And only when they're fully ripe and soft and you're not going to eat them right away should you consider freezing them for smoothies or baking. Bananas, when stored right, are one of the easiest, most affordable fruits to enjoy daily, but in the refrigerator they lose almost everything that makes them good. So do yourself a favor. Give them a little space on the counter and let them become what they were meant to be. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, potatoes. Potatoes might seem sturdy enough to survive just about anything. They sit in the pantry for weeks. They feel firm, dependable, earthy. But here's what many people don't realize. Putting potatoes in the refrigerator can quietly turn them into something you don't want to eat. When exposed to cold temperatures, the starches inside a potato start converting into sugars much faster than they should. That might not sound like a big deal, but this shift affects both the taste and the way potatoes react when cooked. What used to be a neutral, fluffy side dish suddenly tastes oddly sweet, and not in a pleasant way. It throws off recipes, especially if you're making mashed potatoes or fries, where that clean, savory flavor matters most. Even more concerning is what happens when you fry or roast refrigerated potatoes. The increased sugar content, combined with high heat, can trigger the formation of acrylamide, a chemical that's been linked to health risk when consumed in large amounts. For older adults who are often already mindful of things like blood sugar, digestion, and heart health, that's not something to take lightly. And then there's the texture. Cold can cause the cell walls inside the potato to break down. But the whole uncut ones, they should stay far away from your refrigerator's chilly, damp shelves. For those who cook less frequently now, it might feel safer to keep onions cold, especially if you think it'll keep them from going bad. But the truth is you'll get far more life and far better flavor by storing them the way nature intended. And when your onions are firm, dry, and packed with real flavor, you don't just cook a better meal. You remind yourself that even the basics, when treated right, can make all the difference. Number 6, bread. Bread might seem like the kind of food that needs refrigeration if you want it to last longer. It feels logical if it goes stale quickly on the counter. Why not slow that down with a little cold air? But here's the surprising truth. Putting bread in the refrigerator actually makes it go stale faster, not slower. This all comes down to a process called retrogradation. When bread is exposed to cold temperatures, the starches inside begin to crystallize and reorganize. This forces moisture out of the bread structure, turning a soft, fresh loaf into something dry, stiff, and lifeless, often overnight. You open the fridge expecting a fresh slice for toast or a sandwich, and instead get something that feels more like cardboard. Now, for seniors who grew up in a time when no food was ever wasted, the instinct to preserve bread in the fridge can feel strong. But in this case, that well-meaning habit works against you. It doesn't protect the bread, ruins it. And when food doesn't taste good, you're less likely to eat it, or worse, end up throwing it away anyway. There's also the matter of texture. Refrigerated bread loses the soft chew that makes it comforting and easy to eat. This is especially important for older adults who may already struggle with dry mouth or dental sensitivity. Stale bread is harder to chew and often feels rough or gummy when toasted. That small change in consistency can turn a pleasant snack into a frustrating experience. So, what should you do instead? If you buy fresh bread and plan to eat it within a few days, keep it at room temperature in a bread box, a cloth bag, or a paper bag loosely folded. These allow for airflow while keeping the crust from drying out too quickly. If you know you won't finish the loaf in time, freeze it. That's right. Freezing bread, not refrigerating. It is the best way to pause its freshness without changing its chemistry. Just slice it first so you can pull out what you need. Toast it, straight from frozen, and enjoy it as if it were just baked. Bread is one of those simple pleasures that connects us to warmth, comfort, and home. But that experience fades when it's stored the wrong way. By breaking the habit of refrigerating it, you not only extend its life the right way, you also hold on to the quality that makes it worth eating in the first place. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire. Now let's move forward. Number 7, honey. Honey is one of nature's most remarkable foods. It doesn't spoil, it has natural antibacterial properties, and it can sit on a shelf for years without going bad if you store it properly. But the moment you put honey in the refrigerator, everything about it begins to change, and not in a good way. Cold temperatures cause honey to crystallize. That means the smooth golden liquid starts turning grainy, thick, and cloudy. Over time, it hardens into a consistency that's hard to scoop, hard to spread, and far less enjoyable. To use, many people mistake crystallized honey for spoiled honey and throw it away even though it's still perfectly safe to eat. But by storing it in the fridge, you're creating that problem in the first place. This crystallization happens because honey contains natural sugars that are sensitive to temperature shifts. When chilled, those sugars begin separating from the water content, forming tiny crystals that change the texture and appearance. You open the jar expecting a drizzle, and instead, get a clump. And once it's crystallized, it can take quite a while to bring it back to normal, usually by gently warming it in a warm water bath. Not a microwave, which risks damaging the flavor. Older adults often refrigerate honey out of a desire to protect it. After all, we're used to thinking that cold means preservation. But honey is unique. It preserves itself. The low moisture and high sugar content prevent bacterial growth, which is why archaeologists have even found edible honey in ancient tombs. It doesn't need our help, it just needs to be kept in the right conditions. Room temperature is where honey thrives, a pantry shelf, a cabinet away from heat and sunlight, or even a countertop away from the stove. These are the places where honey keeps its texture, taste, and natural goodness. Sealed tightly, it will stay usable for years without any need for refrigeration. There's also a sensory joy that comes with honey in its pure form. The way it pours, the way it glows in a spoon, the gentle sweetness it brings to tea or toast. It's one of those foods that offers comfort and nostalgia in every drop. Cold crystallized honey loses some of that magic, and over time it might lead you to stop using it altogether. So the next time you reach for the honey jar, check where it's stored. If it's in the fridge, it's time to move it out. Let it return to its natural state where it can do what it's meant to do. Add warmth, richness, and sweetness to your life, just as it is. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share your support. helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.